Okay, picture this, a sun-drenched island right in the heart of the Mediterranean. You've got these gorgeous mountains, beautiful beaches, and stunning Gulf ports. This is Sardinia. But, beyond all that beauty lies an ancient mystery, a story of a lost civilization that played a huge role in the Bronze Age. Because all across this island, you'll find thousands of these really enigmatic stone structures. They're way older than the Romans even. So the central questions are simple, but honestly pretty profound. Who on earth built them, and what were they for? And I'm not talking about just a handful of ruins here. Get this, we're talking about over 7,000 of these towers, which are called Nuragic. That's just an incredible feat of engineering, and it points to a culture that was powerful, super organized, and really industrious. So, who did it? Well, they were the work of a people that history has, for the most part, completely overlooked. They are one of the Mediterranean's most important unsung heroes, the Nuragic Civilization, a culture that was thriving for nearly 2,000 years. Even the name, Nuragic, is a total mystery. Nobody knows where it came from. And that's the biggest challenge for historians. The Nuragic people left behind no written language, none. So their entire story has to be pieced together from what they left behind: stone, metal, and pottery. It's like a giant puzzle.
So to really understand their incredible achievements, we have to go back to the very beginning. Let's take a look at how this unique culture was forged.
All right, the Nuragic story really kicks off around 2400 BCE. They have links to this widespread group in Europe known as the beaker culture. And right from the get-go, these people were master craftspeople. They had advanced skills in smelting copper, and they were total experts at working with obsidian, which is this volcanic glass that they traded all across the Western Mediterranean.
And this is where their story takes a really fascinating turn. While all these other great civilizations of the time were just falling apart, the Nuragic were entering their golden age. It's one of the great paradoxes of the Bronze Age, for sure.
The contrast is just stark. Between the 13th and 10th centuries BCE, the Eastern Mediterranean was going through the infamous Bronze Age collapse. You've got major powers like the Hittites and the Mycenaean Greeks in total crisis. But over in Sardinia, it was a boom time. Construction was everywhere, and their trade networks were actually expanding. So you have to wonder, how did they pull this off? Well, their island location definitely helped insulate them from the chaos. But more importantly, they controlled the resources and the sea lanes that suddenly became the new center of the world.
It's incredible to think about. They didn't just survive this period of absolute chaos, they actively prospered from it. While the old world order was shattering, the Nuragic were busy increasing their exports. They basically capitalized on the collapse. By controlling Western Mediterranean trade and all its precious metals, they filled the power vacuum and made their own economy incredibly strong.
So they were resilient. They were economically savvy. But what was life actually like for these people? What kind of society goes out and builds thousands of these massive stone towers?
Their social organization was actually remarkably clear. You can see it in their buildings. Nuragic settlements followed this really distinct hierarchy, from simple single towers to more complex settlements, all the way up to these huge multi-towered citadels that were likely the centers of regional power. This whole structure points to a very sophisticated and layered society.
Their society was probably built around kinship-based clans. They were famous across the Mediterranean for their metal industry, and their seafaring skills were so good they could trade with distant cultures, including the Mycenaean Greeks. They also had these really unique spiritual practices, building massive collective tombs that we now call the Tombs of the Giants.
And their spiritual world seems to have been deeply connected to the natural world. Water was a central part of their religion. They built these sacred springs and ritual shrines that were really important places for worship and for the community to gather.
The artifacts they left behind are just stunning. You have these iconic little bronze statuettes that show warriors, elites, or maybe even deities. And then you find pottery all the way from Greece and copper weapons from as far away as Cyprus. That's just clear proof of how connected they were to the wider Mediterranean world.
But, no civilization lasts forever. The era of a fully independent Nuragic Sardinia eventually came to a close as new powers started rising in the Mediterranean, and that led to their final chapter.
You can see this gradual shift on the timeline here. Starting in the 900s BCE, Phoenician traders start setting up colonies on the coast. They were followed by the Carthaginians, and then eventually, in 238 BCE, the entire island was annexed by the rising power of Rome.
But here's the crucial thing. This wasn't a sudden, violent end. The Nuragic culture didn't just disappear. Instead, it held on in the island's rugged interior. slowly mixing with and influencing the newcomers over centuries. Their legacy was absorbed, not erased. And that legacy is absolutely still alive. These thousands of stone towers are a deep source of pride for modern Sardinians, a constant physical reminder of the island's unique and ancient history. They stand as a link to these unsung heroes of the Bronze Age.
The Nuragic Civilization is just this powerful testament to resilience, to innovation, and to a history that we're still uncovering. Which leaves us with a final thought. If a civilization this significant could remain hidden in plain sight for so long, what other lost stories are out there, just waiting to be told?